In the bustling heart of Manila, amid the roaring jeepneys, street vendors shouting over one another, and the aroma of freshly cooked ISAW wafting through the air, there lived a young man named Rico Dela Cruz. He was 24, lean, brown-skinned, and wore the same pair of ripped jeans nearly every day. His hair was slightly messy, but his eyes, deep, soulful, and filled with fire, told the story of a dreamer who refused to give up. Rico lived with his mother in a small shanty perched along the banks of the Pasig River. The house creaked when the wind blew, and the tin roof clattered whenever rain poured, but to him, it was home. His father had died when he was 10, leaving behind a beat-up acoustic guitar and a legacy Rico carried with quiet pride. Every night, Rico sat outside his house, guitar in hand, singing softly while the city fell asleep. The songs were old, Elvis Presley classics that his father used to hum. Can't Help Falling in Love, Suspicious Minds, and Love Me Tender, songs from a world he never knew but somehow felt in his soul. He never had formal training. He didn't know how to read sheet music or use vocal techniques. But what he had, what truly set him apart, was heart. Every lyric, every strum of his guitar carried emotion so raw it made the people who passed by stop and listen. One night, a foreign couple visiting from Los Angeles stopped by the small carinderia across the street. They heard Rico singing, Jailhouse Rock, his voice rough yet rich, the accent slight but charming. The man, whose name was John, recorded a short video of Rico on his phone. "Man, this guy's got something," John said. His wife nodded, smiling. "He sounds like Elvis, but with a twist. It's soulful, different." John uploaded the video to YouTube that same night. By morning, it had over 300,000 views. Rico woke up to find a crowd outside his home. Kids were shouting his name, people were clapping, and someone yelled, "Rico, you're viral." He didn't understand at first. Then a neighbor showed him the video. There he was, sitting barefoot, guitar in hand, eyes closed, singing with all his heart. The comments were flooded with messages like, "Greater than, who is this Filipino Elvis? This guy just brought back the king's soul. Simon Cowell needs to see this." Within days, a talent scout from America's Got Talent reached out through a Manila-based representative. They wanted Rico to audition for the next season in Los Angeles. At first, he thought it was a scam. Me, I can't even afford a plane ticket," he said, laughing. But when the producers confirmed it, offering to cover his travel and accommodation, reality hit. He was going to America. The journey was surreal. Rico had never been on an airplane, never left the Philippines. When he stepped onto the plane, he clutched his guitar case tightly, as though it were a lifeline. As he stared out the window, watching the islands disappear beneath the clouds, tears filled his eyes. "This is for you, Papa," he whispered. When he arrived in Los Angeles, the city was overwhelming, the skyscrapers, the lights, the language. Yet, despite his nerves, there was something in him that burned with quiet confidence. On the day of his audition, Rico wore his best outfit, a white button-up shirt, black pants, and a pair of scuffed leather shoes that had seen better days. Backstage, he watched as other contestants practiced. Some had managers, vocal coaches, and expensive instruments. Rico only had his old guitar, the one his father had given him, and faith in his voice. A producer tapped him on the shoulder. "You're up next, Rico. Ready?" He nodded, swallowing his fear. The stage lights were blinding. The audience looked endless, and there they were, Simon Cowell, Sofia Vergara, Heidi Klum, and Howie Mandel, staring at him with curious expressions. Simon leaned forward. "Hello, what's your name?" My name's Rico Dela Cruz," he said nervously, his accent thick but endearing. "And where are you from, Rico?" "I'm from the Philippines, sir." "From Manila." The crowd cheered. Simon smiled slightly. "Okay, and what are you going to do for us today?" "I will sing one of my favorite songs by Elvis Presley." Sophia raised her brows. "Elvis, wow, those are big shoes to fill." Rico nodded, clutching his guitar. "Yes, ma'am, but I sing it with my heart." Simon smiled faintly, intrigued. "All right, let's hear it." The stage fell silent. Rico strummed the first chords of Can't Help Falling in Love. His voice trembled at first, soft and uncertain. But as he reached the chorus, something shifted. His tone deepened, smooth and hauntingly close to Elvis's, yet distinct. There was a touch of Filipino soul, a vulnerability that wrapped around every word. Take my hand, Take my whole life too. By the second verse, you could hear sniffles in the audience. Rico sang with his eyes closed, his body swaying gently, his voice echoing through the theater like a prayer. When he finished, there was silence for half a second, then an explosion of applause. The crowd rose to their feet, cheering wildly. Sophia clapped her hands, her eyes glassy. That was beautiful. Heidi nodded. It was pure. No gimmicks, no pretense. Just emotion. Howie grinned. You've got a gift, my friend. And Simon, who had been unusually quiet, leaned back, his expression unreadable. Rico, he said slowly, I've heard many people try to sing Elvis. But I've never heard anyone be Elvis, and still be themselves. The audience gasped. Simon continued, you took a legend song and made it your own. That's rare. That's magic. Then, without another word, he pressed the golden buzzer. Gold confetti rained from the ceiling. Rico fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face as the crowd roared. Simon stood and walked to the stage, shaking his hand. You just reminded us why music exists, Simon said softly. To feel something. Overnight, Rico became a global sensation. Clips of his audition flooded social media. His story, the boy from the Manila slums who sang Elvis and earned Simon's golden buzzer, touched millions. He was invited to interviews, late-night shows, and charity galas. But despite all the fame, Rico remained humble. I'm still the same guy, he said during one interview. I just want to sing. I want to make people feel the way my father made me feel when he sang Elvis. During the semifinals, Rico performed, If I Can Dream, a song filled with hope and longing, perfect for his story. The stage was dim, the spotlight fixed on him as he sang. There must be lights burning brighter somewhere. The power in his voice stunned everyone. He didn't just sing the song, he lived it. Every note was drenched in struggle, love, and triumph. After his performance, the judges stood again. Simon wiped his eyes, something rarely seen. You've just reminded the world that music doesn't care about money, fame, or background, he said. It's about truth. And you, Rico, are truth. When the finals came, Rico stood backstage, shaking. The enormity of it all hit him. Millions were watching. His mother had flown in from the Philippines, her first time on a plane, to see him perform. He hugged her tightly. Ma, I'm nervous. She smiled through tears. Anik, your papa is watching. Just sing with your heart, like always. He nodded. This time, he chose a medley, Love Me Tender, blended into Suspicious Minds. It was risky, but he wanted to show growth, passion, and soul. The first note rang out, and the audience quieted. Rico's voice was smoother than ever, his control flawless, his emotion electric. As he sang, the LED screens behind him displayed old photos of Manila, jeepneys, kids playing in the rain, his late father smiling with a guitar in hand. By the end of the song, everyone, including the judges, was standing. Simon said quietly, Rico, I've done this show for years. I've seen stars rise and fall. But what you just did, that was one of the greatest moments in AGT history. The audience erupted again. When the votes came in that night, Rico placed second, but to the world, he was already a winner. After the show, Rico signed with a music label in Los Angeles. His debut album, Heart of Elvis, topped charts across Asia and reached the US Top 50. He toured around the world, but he never forgot where he came from. He returned to Manila a year later, standing once more outside his old home by the river. It was falling apart, but he didn't tear it down. Instead, he built a small music school next to it, where underprivileged kids could learn to sing and play instruments, for free. Music saved me, he told a local reporter. Now, it's my turn to save others. One afternoon, as he was teaching a group of kids how to strum a guitar, a little boy asked, Kuya Rico, why do you still sing Elvis songs? Rico smiled. Because when I sing Elvis, I remember who I am. Years passed. Rico became an international icon. But fame never hardened him. He still walked barefoot sometimes, still stopped to talk with street musicians, still sang with the same humble intensity that had once captivated Simon Cowell. At a tribute concert in Las Vegas, where he was invited to honor Elvis's legacy, Rico stood before thousands. As the music began, Can't Help Falling in Love once again, he looked up, as if speaking to his father. Thank you, he whispered. Then he sang, not as the viral star, not as the celebrity, but as the poor boy from Manila who once dreamed of being heard. The audience swayed, holding their phones high, lights shimmering like stars. And as his final note faded into silence, a hush fell over the room, that sacred silence only true greatness commands. Even Simon Cowell, sitting among the audience, couldn't help but whisper to himself, he didn't just sing Elvis, he became the soul of music. Rico smiled faintly, the spotlight gleaming in his eyes. The journey that began in the slums had led him to the grandest stage in the world, but his heart remained where it started, in the rhythm of the streets, the love of his mother, and the songs of his father. And in that moment, as he took a deep breath and bowed to the thunderous applause, he finally understood, the real dream wasn't fame or fortune. It was to move hearts with words, to live a journey made of songs. A journey of words. Rico Dela Cruz, the Filipino who once sang Elvis by the river, had done exactly that.